I got the joy, I got the joy, I got the joy. Okay, we're going to talk about hormones and joy and happiness. Now, I know I'm being kind of funny, but this really is an important topic because in all seriousness, so many people struggling with depression and not understanding why they're depressed. And I know there's emotional roots and there's spiritual roots and there's horrible things that have happened to people in their past, but there's also a physical component of how God designed us that we need not overlook. We have adrenal glands, we have a thyroid, we have these hormones that the body produces, nutrition plays a role, and we need joy and happiness. I mean, we want the joy of the Lord. How big of a struggle is it spiritually when somebody's struggling with depression, they know the Lord, and they know that that's not who they are, and that's not how they're supposed to be. And that's tough. I mean, that can be a real tough road. So I want to share with you a couple of stories. I want to talk to you about how you can have joy and how you can have happiness the way God designed it. Let me tell you one story. I had a gal come in who struggled with depression for years and years and years and couldn't figure it out, knew the Lord, prayed, read her Bible, did all the scriptural thing. You want to know what she did that she no longer had depression anymore? She stopped eating grains. As soon as she stopped eating grains, within a few days, her depression lifted. It's never been a problem since. So you might say, wow, how can that possibly be? Well, digestion. If we're not digesting our food properly and undigested food molecules are getting out into our body, it's affecting our hormones. It's affecting our neurotransmitters, the ability of our body to communicate. It's getting things into our bloodstream, causing an autoimmune response. It's causing our immune system to go crazy. And it's affecting our brain and our brain function, autism, and so many different issues. This is why people are getting away from gluten and going grain-free, and I encourage people to get away from grains. As tough as it is to get away from your bread, and your pasta and your pizza and your cracker and your baked goods, just throwing a little plug in there diet-wise, you really want to clean up your diet and consider getting away from grains, especially if you're dealing with mood-related issues, depression, etc. So joy, happiness, hormonally, where does that come from? The adrenal glands are crucial. The adrenal glands are these little walnuts sit on top of our kidneys, and they produce a lot of hormones. And one of the hormones they produce is called DHEA. It's also known as the joy hormone. And when people have collapsed, weak adrenals, they've lost their joy sometimes, and they can't find it. And they struggle, and they don't understand that I know I'm supposed to be happy and I'm supposed to feel good, and I just don't. I just don't have the joy. Where's the joy? Adrenal glands are crucial. So listen to my recordings on the adrenal glands. Find ways to naturally boost DHEA in the adrenal glands. Don't do it through taking DHEA in a pill form. It's a synthetic. You can't take synthetic versions of these things and have it work right. Now, it might help you in the interim. You might feel like it helps you, but it's not going to balance and heal your adrenal glands and help you to produce these hormones naturally the way God would have designed it. And I'll tell you, one of the toughest things on the adrenal glands is eating grains and eating complex sugars. We're wanting to do agave and maple syrup and all these natural sugars. They're too heavy and they're too concentrated and they're hard on the body, and it's affecting the ability of our body to function the way God designed it to function. And it's just a product of our environment, our culture, our generational weaknesses being passed down to our children, growing up on junk food and standard American diet. This is why we have to make these changes. So support the adrenals when it comes to joy. Do the earthing sheets, take vitamin C, pantothenic acid and B vitamins, do royal jelly and bee pollen, Chinese tonic herbs. If you do these things to support the adrenals and get away from eating grains and dairy and some of these foods that are causing problems and having undigested molecules affect the way we think and work, your joy will come back. I'm telling you, I've heard it many times from people. I've seen so many people over and over who struggle with depression find it disappears when they change their diet and when they work on their hormones. The joy comes back. So there are answers out there. Pass this video to anybody, especially if they're a believer. I mean, anybody. But if you're a believer and you're counting on the Lord for your healing, sometimes it comes in a miracle, and sometimes the miracle comes through you watching a video or taking an herb or changing your diet. God works miracles in many ways, so don't limit God. He is a healer in so many different ways. And sometimes it's actually changing our hearts to align with Him in the area of health. And especially when it comes to this topic of hormones, it's so important. So the other hormone that's really important is serotonin. Like we've heard of serotonin, it's happiness. How do you produce serotonin? Well, serotonin's produced mainly as sunshine and light gets into our eyes. That's what helps us to produce serotonin. Why are we happier and feel better when the sun's out? Why do we crave to go outside in the sun? I've talked many times about the myths of the sun. It's not bad for us. God didn't make a mistake when He made the sun. It doesn't cause cancer. Those things are all myths. We don't want to wear sunglasses. We don't want to put on sunscreen. We don't want to block the essence of God from getting into our bodies. The sunlight getting into our bodies helps us to produce serotonin. Serotonin is also produced in the gut. Okay, remember I talked about changing your diet can get you out of depression? Serotonin is produced in the gut. You eat junk food, drink soda pop, white flour, white sugar. How are you producing serotonin? How are you helping God to help your body produce serotonin the way He designed it? We're not when we're going against God's design and we're choosing man-made things. So heal our guts through God's nourishing foods, take the offending foods out, and as our gut gets healthier, we start producing serotonin. There's been studies say we produce as much as 90% of our serotonin in our gut. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they say. So probiotics, good healthy bacteria, a good clean diet, getting dairy and grains and processed sugars and white flour and junk food out of our diet can get you out of depression. So again, I'm just doing this video because joy, happiness, it's important. People are struggling. People don't understand why they're feeling the way they're feeling. And God has given us tools. He's given us tips, He's given us herbs, and He's given us nutrition, and we just need to line up with that. Now I'm going to talk about some products. We have one called Happy Juice. It really works. It makes people happy. So it's so funny how quickly, and it's just neat how quickly some of these products work to help people. Been struggling for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, and a week, it's gone. It's lifted. And they're literally like, how was I ever that way? Like, I don't even understand how I struggled for that long and for those many years. So here's to your happiness, here's to your joy, and may you find a closer connection to your Creator in that.